Hey, what it do, y'all? Welcome back to the channel. I'm your host, Will. This is Fandom Frequency, where we dive into the entire multiverse of pop culture, if you will, movies, TV, anime, music, and everything in between. So make sure you're getting out there and jumping into the comments and letting us know what you think about all these latest topics that we're talking about. Wasn't able to get this show out over the weekend. I was busy with trying to get a gig together and going to work and all kinds of shit. But now we're gonna give you 2 episodes of What's the Word this week, where we dive into all the pop culture topics out there. And we had some big ones last week that I definitely want to dive into, and a lot of horror ones, which is this is the perfect time of year for a bunch of horror content. But starting off here, we'll go with one of the biggest rumors in our main topic of the show, and that is Christopher Nolan's next film is set for 2026 release. And there's been confirmation that both Matt Damon and now Tom Holland are I think Tom Holland is confirmed to be either co-lead or starring in some sort in Christopher Nolan's next movie, and he's gonna have a big 2026 because he has Spider-Man 4 coming out in the MCU with Marvel and Sony, and then he also has this now with Christopher Nolan. There's no concrete plot details or anything like that about the film quite yet. The big rumors going on lately, and the most persistent rumor I've been seeing, is that he's going to be doing a 20th century set vampire film. And there's been talks, and people have asked Christopher Nolan over the years if he would be interested in exploring the genre of horror, because he's definitely done thrillers that kind of dabble into it, like Insomnia and The Prestige and things like that. But I would say most of his films are really just like crime thrillers, blockbusters, sci-fi, things in that realm. So me as a horror junkie, I've always had my ears perked up ever since the first time they asked Christopher Nolan about doing horror, and him saying that he's interested in it and is a fan of the genre. Excuse me. Now, I don't think he's out there watching Terrifier 3, you know what I'm saying? Fucking Slumber Party Massacre and shit like that. Who knows? Maybe he is, but I think he's more into the prestige stuff. An Exorcist, a Conjuring, a Shining, things like that. I think he's more into the prestige, the more well crafted horror films. I mean, maybe a Scream or a Nightmare on Elm Street or something like that that has a little bit of both. But overall, I wouldn't imagine him making anything too schlocky. But this isn't confirmed. There's been other rumors of different types of premises and things like that. But this one about the vampires was the most persistent rumor I seen on the internet and all that. So I figured I would report on that one mostly. And I really dig the idea. And it would be funny because one of, if not my most anticipated movie next year, is a movie called Sinners, which is going to be directed and written by Ryan Coogler, starring Michael B. Jordan as twin brothers going against vampires in the South in Jim Crow era, late 1800s, early 1900s, if I'm not mistaken. So it will be interesting seeing two of the big auteurs, two of the most talented filmmakers working today. One that's well established, one that really is on like a 3 to 4 film streak right now, and one obviously that's been in the game for about 20 years or so. It's going to be really interesting to see if he's doing a vampire film and Christopher Nolan within a year of each other. That would be extremely cool. But at the same time, who knows? And a lot of times in Hollywood, movies will be made around the same time and come out within months or a year of each other that have very similar premises. I don't know exactly if that's intentional sometimes or if that's just weird coincidences that go on, because that's gone on with different disaster movies and horror movies and action films and things like that over the years. So I don't know if that's ever intentional or not. I've never worked behind the scenes in Hollywood, so I have no idea. But I am definitely excited by the idea in general of Tom Holland being in a Christopher Nolan film. I would love to get to see him stretch his acting chops in that way. And I think Christopher Nolan's going to be able to maybe pull out the best performance of his career, and getting to see him work potentially with Matt Damon is going to be really cool. And he's worked with some pretty well-established actors before, obviously, with like Robert Downey Jr. and Chris Evans and just different actors like that, and he's been doing things since he was pretty young, because he's a few years younger than I am at the moment. I think he's about 25, 26, if I'm not mistaken, maybe 27. So he's got a lot of he's got a lot of years ahead of him, hopefully, and a lot of films and things to do. And I love getting to see him jump out of the Spider-Man tights, or CGI tights, I guess, in the way they do it there, and get to explore more dramatic material potentially, and something with one of the best directors today, if not in a lot of people's eyes, Christopher Nolan. I think is an amazing opportunity for him in his career, and I just can't wait to see what this film is going to be. And I hope it's just a horror film of some sort. I really want to see Christopher Nolan tackle that genre. And I really want to, and in general, I just want to see him do something smaller because he's been doing a lot of blockbuster stuff on his James Cameron type of shit for the last several years, like last 10 to 12 years. I would like to see him do something a bit smaller again. So y'all let me know, are you excited by a Christopher Nolan written and directed vampire film set in the 20th century? Do you want to see Tom Holland get some fangs on? Do you think Matt Damon should be the guy hunting the vampires? Whatever the case is, y'all let me know what you think about that topic down below in the comment section. But we got another big one here, and we're going to be jumping back into the world of Marvel in a sense because Daredevil Born Again just released some more information and stuff at New York Comic Con just a little bit over a week ago, maybe about 2 weeks, going on 2 weeks now. And they released obviously the official logo there that you see on the screen at the moment. And they released an official synopsis going into the fact that Matt Murdock has his firm is doing very well. He's out there doing his thing, but then he crosses paths with Wilson Fisk once again, and both of their secret identities are now coming to light, and they have to deal with it in some fashion or form. Bullseye is supposed to be in this thing. Um, I can't remember the name of that newer character from the comics, but the dude with the white getup and the blood stains and all that, he's going to be one of the main villains of the show as well. And they have a release date, which is awesome, which is going to be March 4th next year in 2025. So I cannot wait to see what this show is going to have. Apparently, Daredevil's dropping F-bombs and shit, and they're going to fully commit to the R-rated TVMA tone and violence and everything from the original Netflix series, and that is the intent. I am so happy they went back and scrapped whatever lame-ass version they were going to be doing, where they were going to neuter the character and completely take the balls off of it and not do the character justice in the way it's supposed to be done. They got that shit, put it in the recycle bin, got it out of here, reshot everything, got Wilson Fisk and aka Vincent D'Onofrio and everyone back, got the Punisher involved, and obviously with John Bernthal doing interviews over the last several years since kind of the end of the Netflix era, that he would never come back to the character unless they went full R-rated and did the character in its full glory. So the fact that he's back, had no reason to come back, had plenty of things going on. He's in a freaking Emmy-nominated show every season with the Bear, and he gets quick cameo scenes. It doesn't even have to show up for the full thing. And he's been doing a ton of great stuff, and his podcast is thriving as well, Real Talk. So I love the fact that John Bernthal's back as the Punisher, getting to see him go toe-to-toe and potentially team up with Daredevil, since I think the continuity is going to be the same. So they should have already worked together and kind of hammered out some of their differences. And getting to see Charlie Cox back in a costume in the full-on TVMA Daredevil makes me super-duper excited. That's my favorite superhero-type TV show of all time. And I just absolutely love that show. I remember when they were announcing it in 2014 and it came out 2015. It was an amazing time, or wherever year it was. I love that show. Loved every season to death, and I was so sad they canceled it before season 4 was going to drop. So good news is it's going to be back March 4th, 2025 in its R-rated glory. Daredevil Born Again. I cannot fucking wait. But y'all let me know what your hype level is on Daredevil Born Again. Do you think they're going to nail it? Do you think they're going to fuck it up? Do you think it's going to fall somewhere in between? Is it your favorite show? Do you not care about Daredevil? Y'all let me know what you think about that one down below. And now we got another topic here. Josh Brolin is back in the news, y'all, but not in MCU, not Sony, not DC, none of that stuff. No Star Wars, but it is somewhat of an IP. One of my favorite directors working today, Edgar Wright. He's had a very interesting career and a very pretty diverse filmography, a lot more leading into the comedic side of things. But with this, he's going to be readapting or remaking, however you want to say it, the Stephen King story, The Running Man, next year. Glenn Powell is going to be starring, and I believe also Katie O'Brien's supposed to be in it as well, but there's been rumors, or I think it might be confirmed, not 100% sure to be honest with y'all, but Josh Brolin is in talks or is confirmed to be potentially starring in the movie in some kind of villainous role. And I have watched the Arnold Schwarzenegger version from 1988 or 89 or whatever, 85, whatever the fuck it was. I have seen the Schwarzenegger version back as a kid. I wasn't necessarily crazy about it at the time, but I think a lot of the themes and things it was going for went over my head. So this is definitely an Arnold movie I need to go back and see. I'm a big Arnold fan. I grew up on him, Stallone, Bruce Willis, and all that stuff. So my dad's a huge action movie junkie, Steven Seagal, all that, Jackie Chan, Jet Li. So we watched all that stuff growing up. And I love me some Arnold, but this is going to be a completely different vibe, obviously, because Glenn Powell is not Arnold Schwarzenegger. So that's definitely going to change up the vibe. And I like Glenn Powell as an actor, and I think he has a lot of charisma. I think he's fun to watch on screen, very likable. So it's definitely going to be a different vibe. And I know that with this version, Edgar Wright and all the trays and everything have been saying that they want to go closer to the novel or the story that this is actually coming from. I'm not sure exactly what changes they made to the 80s movie, but I'm sure they made quite a few. So this one's going to be kind of like the It chapter 1 and 2, where they kind of get a little bit closer to the book and adapt some elements that weren't in the previous version or movie. So I'll be very curious to see where things are going to go when it comes to Josh Brolin. But he plays a great villain. Obviously, he's one of the most iconic villains in pop culture with Thanos. He's played great villains and done so many great roles, like with No Country for Old Men, Dune Part 1 and 2. Um, he's been in the game for a minute, so I'm very curious to see how he's going to play as a villain. I think it's going to be a lot more grounded, obviously. So I think getting to see the gravitas he brings to Thanos, but with something maybe a little bit more sinister, I think sounds really exciting and really interesting. And this might be potentially the reason why he didn't end up doing the Hal Jordan stuff. And also, there's rumors of him returning in the MCU as Thanos. That's a separate topic we're going to get into in the next episode of the show. So stay tuned for that. But Josh Brolin is staying very busy. And he's pushing into 60 now. So it's really cool getting to see how it seems like the older he gets and the more he goes on through his career, he just gets bigger and cooler opportunities. So I'm all for it. I'm a big Josh Brolin fan. I've loved almost every performance I've seen of his, or at least enjoyed him and liked what he brought to the role, like Cable and things like that. So getting to see him get into something a little bit more in the horror thriller genre, sci-fi, I think is going to be really cool. Getting to see him step away from the comic book movie stuff for a little while. And, it'll be cool to see what's going to go down. Edgar Wright, like I said, is one of my favorite directors. So I'll be there day one to see this movie. And I'm pretty excited about it. And I'm going to go back and watch the Arnold version. And maybe we'll drop a review or something on the channel. We can do a little bit of a comparison when the time comes next year. But y'all let me know if you're hyped for the Running Man remake in general. Do you love Edgar Wright's work? Do you think Glenn Powell is going to have the chops to kind of step into Arnold's shoes in a sense? And how do you think Josh Brolin is going to play as a villain? Y'all let me know what you think about that one as well in the comments. And we got another really cool story here. Mike Flanagan's going to be working on the next Exorcist, but he's also going to be working on an 8-part series for Amazon, if I'm not mistaken, for a new adaptation of Carrie from the 70s. This is an image right there from the 1976 original film directed by Brian De Palma, of course. And I'm forgetting this actress name, and I know the horror fans are going to come for me in the comments. I'm sorry, but I can't remember her name right now. But she was awesome in the role. There's no details on casting, no details on the writers, none of that. But Mike Flanagan is developing a 8-part series for Carrie, and obviously it's Stephen King, so it was a novel at one point, not one of his larger novels. So it is going to be interesting to see them break up the story into episodes in that nature and see what they'll be able to dive into from the book that maybe wasn't in the previous 2013 or whatever remake with Chloe Grace Moretz, or the original film there from 1976. So I'm very curious to see like what they're going to change, what they're going to do. I might even try to read or get an audiobook of Carrie at the time when it's going to come out, so I can get a better idea of maybe what to expect. But Mike Flanagan's one of the best horror directors working out there today. I'm not a big fan of Haunting a Hill House and some of those shows. I didn't do the Haunting of Bly Manor or whatever, and I didn't see Midnight Express or whatever the hell it's called. So I haven't watched some of his TV work, but I thought it was done with a good it was well made and stuff like that. But I thought that Haunting a Hill House kind of bored me a little bit. And I don't need jump scares every 10 seconds or anything like that. I'm not one of those kind of horror fans, but it just was a little drab and a little bit slow for me. But I do want to give it a shot one of these days because I always hear great things about it. But I've watched a lot of his filmography though, so I'm very familiar with Mike Flanagan's work, and I really dig his style. He's really able to make unsettling, creepy films in the modern era, which isn't always the easiest thing to do. And with him tackling Exorcist, which is literally one of, if not the most iconic horror film of all time, and him going into Carrie, which is also one of the most iconic Stephen King stories of all time, and one of the best Stephen King adaptations still to this day. He's got a big task on his shoulders to try to tackle both of those. But I believe that if there's any filmmaker out there today that's going to be able to do it, I think it's Mike Flanagan. And, he's just a really great filmmaker. Seems like a really humble dude. And everyone in the industry seems to really respect and vibe with the guy. So I got a lot of faith in it. And I'm very curious to see what he's going to be cooking up for this series. And it's going to be on Amazon, which most of their series hit more than they don't. So I think that's definitely a solid choice. I was kind of surprised it wasn't Netflix, but it might be depending on who owns the rights and all that kind of shit. So that seems to be the way that it went for that. But yeah, man, I'm definitely intrigued and pretty excited to see what Mike Flanagan's going to do in the world of Stephen King again after doing Gerald's Game and stuff like that. So y'all let me know if you see in the original or the remake of Carrie, which one do you prefer? And if you read the book, what do you think they're going to throw into the series that we haven't seen so far and anything on screen? Y'all let me know. I'd love to discuss it with you. Now it's time to talk about one of my favorite rising scream queens out there. I have a whole ranking video that's going to be dropping on Halloween talking about this subject. Will Lauren be on the list? You have to wait and find out. But Lauren Lavera finally has a new project coming up, man. And I know I've seen interviews with her for Terrifier 3 recently promoting that, talking about she would like to do a comedy or do something different. But looks like her next film is going to be another horror movie. So get ready to start screaming and running around again, Lauren, because she's going to be doing a movie called The Monster, and it's actually going to be directed by one of the directors from the Saw franchise, Darren Lynn Boozman. I don't know which installments he's done. I'm not a big Saw guy, so just full frontal, letting you know how I'm coming from there. But she's going to be co-starring with one of my all-time favorite character actors or actors in general that never gets the shine that I think he deserves, or at least he hasn't since he did Blood Diamond and got that Oscar nom. And I'm talking about Djimon Hounsou, the comic book MVP, the comic book movie MVP himself, and he's been in different films as of recently too, like A Quiet Place Part 2 and A Quiet Place Day 1 as well from this year. And I just love Djimon Hounsou, amazing actor, phenomenal performer, and getting to see him and Lauren Lavera play off each other is going to be amazing. I can already feel it. I don't think there's too many details about the project or anything like that, like what's it about or oh, no, sorry, it does. It says the monster follows two millennials who make quick money by leasing in incredible New York City apartments they don't own to people who don't know they are being scammed. The con works brilliantly until they run into an apartment owner with a dark secret who flips the script on them, y'all. And that sounds like a really interesting and unique premise as well. And getting to see Lauren Lavera maybe play a character that isn't completely likable off the jump, I think it's hella interesting. And they said two millennials, and no offense to Djimon Hounsou, but I'm a millennial and I'm one of the kind of closer to an elder millennial myself. And I don't think he's a millennial. You know what I'm saying? Me and Lauren Lavera are exactly the same age. She's just a couple months older than me because I think she just turned 30 last month, and I'm turning 30 next month. So we're pretty much the same damn age. So not sure who the other millennial is going to be. Hopefully, it's another kick-ass actor or actress that we know of, coming up in the scene today. But and for those of you that maybe haven't watched Terrifier for whatever reason because you're a little bit afraid of the gore and things like that, watch clips of Lauren Lavera's performance. At least do that favor. Trust me, she is an amazing performer. I actually got the privilege and I had the pleasure of meeting her. I think in 2023 at CreepyCon in Ontario, California. And she was such a lovely, amazing person, so down to earth. I was nervous beyond all belief, heart pounding through my chest like a goddamn cartoon. You know what I'm saying? But it was a really great time getting to meet her. I got a little bit too nervous, so I didn't get to ask her some of the questions I wanted to ask her because she's also a stunt person and has a lot of martial arts experience under her belt, and actually got to use some of that in the Iron Fist series on Netflix, which wasn't the best series, but hey, actors got to work, right? So getting to see her maybe play into some of that martial arts stuff in the future in like an action movie or something of that sort, definitely hoping to see it. But for this right here, the monster, I really dig the premise. I really love that Djimon Hounsou is going to be in there. Maybe he's going to be the guy that flips the script on it. And I think getting to see Djimon Hounsou play a villain sounds hella intriguing. Because I haven't watched Blood Diamond in a minute, but that was another amazing performance from him. And like I said, I just love Lauren Lavera so much, and I think beyond a doubt, if she keeps building this resume the way she is with Terrifier 4 coming down the line, this movie, The Monster, and whoever knows what else will come up in the future, I think she's going to be a bona fide Scream Queen, horror icon way sooner than later. And I would say she's a Scream Queen for sure as of now. And I think she's just going to keep building that resume. She also did another indie horror film called The Well, which came out earlier this year. I think it went straight to streaming, had a very limited release about her being a art curator, that kind of a restorator or something like that, where she kind of gets old paintings and makes them look good again. And it's like and it takes place in Italy, so it has more of an Italian horror vibe. And I think it was made by an Italian filmmaker. And Italian horror is really cool. It has its own unique vibe to us in the States. And I don't watch a ton of it, but the ones that I've watched and dug so far, really interesting, really creative, really creepy, and very effective. So that one looks a little bit low budget, but I don't care about that. Horror has always been a low budget type of thing. And I think some of the low budget stuff is better than some of the stuff with the bigger budgets. So I definitely don't want to judge anything there. But if any of y'all have seen that, let me know what you think about The Well down in the comments. And I got to go check that out myself because I'm going to support anything Lauren Levera does, man. Even if it's a goddamn musical, I'll go out and see it. So I'm really, really excited to see what she's going to bring to that and what this movie's going to be all about and what the monster's going to be and how this all plays. And yeah, just get to see Lauren Levera do her thing. I think it's going to be cool. And some of the Saw filmmakers make some cool shit. So I'm definitely intrigued. I'm definitely excited for it. Sign me up to anything Lauren Levera does. Y'all let me know where Lauren Levera falls in your overall Scream Queen ranking. And we're going to have ours up on Halloween night. So make sure you don't miss out on that. And yeah, man. So make sure you let me know what you think about Lauren Levera being in another horror movie down below. And what you thought about Terrifier 3, let me know about that too. But here's our final topic for today, and we're talking about Predator. Dan Trachtenberg is back to do the sequel, sort of, not really, to Prey, and it's coming out next year in November of 2025. It actually took the release date that Blade was supposed to have, but we all knew wasn't going to make it. And apparently, according to one of the main executives at 20th Century Fox working along with Disney, he revealed that Dan Trachtenberg didn't want to do a direct sequel to Prey and had a ton of different ideas that he wanted to do. And they're making two of them next year, apparently. I don't know if the other one's a movie or a TV series. I have no idea. But Predator Badlands is going to be the next installment that we know about. And then there's going to be another installment on top of that. And I think what he's doing is what a lot of us fans have speculated and talked about online, because I think it just makes sense due to the approach that he did with this last film, Prey, which went directly to Hulu, but I thought was the best installment in Predator since either Predators or the original for me, because Predators has always been my number 2, but might be number 3 now with Prey. Who knows? I might have to rewatch it and see. But I think what he's doing is taking the Predator creature itself and jumping it into different countries and different time periods. And I think that is such a brilliant idea. It's almost like an anthology a la Cloverfield, a la, Twilight Zone and shit like that. But getting to do it in a filmmaking format in a 2-hour kind of thing, I think is super awesome. And getting to see the Predator have different technology, different forms of going against these people in different places, feudal Japan, modern day, whatever, man. Like, there's just so many places and countries and different time periods that they can go to with the Predator. The Predator is all about a challenge. The Predator is all about getting out there and finding its equal and getting its prey and taking it. So I love the fact that Dan Trachtenberg just has a ton of different ideas, has all these ways of expanding the franchise, and they're doing it. And I think if they continue on this path, they can keep it, bare bones, keep it simple, keep staying back to the basics and make it creative with the different time periods and different places you're using, different types of characters, different groups of characters going against this thing. I think there's just unlimited potential for the Predator franchise going about it this way. And don't do the Predator 2 where he's running around Compton or some shit, all right? Let's not do that. So I think there's a lot of potential with this. I cannot wait for Predator Badlands coming out next year, this time pretty much, or November, whatever. So I'm really excited for that. I love Dan Trachtenberg's work. I saw his first thing, which was 10 Cloverfield Lane, which I just rewatched about a week or so ago. I love that film. And if you haven't seen 10 Cloverfield Lane, do yourself a favor and pop it in today and watch it today, right after you watch this, because that movie is incredible. One of the best thrillers out there. Amazing performance from Mary Elizabeth Winstead, and especially an amazing performance from John Goodman, one of his best, if not all-time best. So y'all make sure you go check that out. And if you haven't seen Prey for whatever reason, go watch that. Amber Midthunder is amazing as the main character in that. The Predator design, I was a little on the fence about, but overall, the Predator is effective and it's badass and it's really awesome getting to see him going against, natives and different things like that way back in the day, and getting to see him be a little bit more primal, if you will, I think was really, or it be more primal was really fucking awesome. Dan Trachtenberg, I think is going to be a huge director and going to have so many cool things under his belt as he progresses on. And him kind of playing around in horror and sci-fi, I think is just his jam, and he just seems to be comfortable in that. So I hope he kind of does that and just keeps making these genre movies and keeps kicking a lot of ace out there. But y'all let me know, are you excited for another Predator sequel? Do you think they should leave that franchise alone? Do you want to see Alien vs. Predator again? Now the Alien Romulus just kicked down the dough, waving the fofo and made hella money. Y'all let me know what you want to see with that. But that's pretty much it today for our show of What's the Word. It's episode 10. Thank you so much for joining us, or joining me, and staying around to the end. For those that did, I love you. I appreciate each of you, everyone out there. We're going to have another episode coming out on Friday or Saturday, and we got some more fun Halloween goodness leading all the way up to Thursday, and then we're going to be getting back to the regularly scheduled programming, and I got a lot of fun music and other niche content to get into, celebrating my 30th birthday and getting into all that fun stuff, but we're going to do all the new releases, Gladiator 2, Heretic from A24, all kinds of stuff. So make sure you stay tuned. Don't sleep on anything we got going on here in the channel. And until next time, make sure you stay safe out there, and I'll catch you again real soon. Peace.